This video is sponsored by Squarespace. Stranger Things, 9 years, 5 seasons, and 42 episodes. Andor, 3 years, 2 seasons, and 24 episodes. House of the Dragon, 3 years, 2 seasons, and 16 episodes. TV shows are taking a long time to come out these days, and when they do, they're over in 2 months. That is, if they're lucky enough not to be dumped all in the same day. Meanwhile, budgets are spiraling out of control, forcing every show to chase massive ratings just to justify their exorbitant costs. Audiences are left starving for entertainment at a time they should have a wealth of it. It seems that with every show striving to be a 10-hour movie, it's worth asking, have we forgotten how to make TV shows? Have we forgotten the strengths that the long format offers, both in storytelling and in production? This video is sponsored by Squarespace, the ultimate tool for creating your own beautiful website. I recently redesigned my website galaxyclasspictures.com using Squarespace's cutting-edge design tools like Blueprint AI, which helped me generate a brand new personalized template, which I then customized using Squarespace's easy-to-use Fluid engine. Squarespace also helps with your site's discoverability with their built-in SEO and domain name features. You can optimize your website so it shows up more often in searches and secure your ideal domain name. No extra fees and no add-ons required. Jump over to Squarespace using the link below to start building your website and use the coupon code RowanJColeman to get 10% off your first purchase. For the longest time, TV shows were seen as the cheap, disposable alternative to the lavish cinema-gracing feature film. Sure, you could very well enjoy an adventure with the $6 Million Man or the A-Team, but substantive storytelling and impressive visuals belonged exclusively to the silver screen. During the 90s and the 2000s, this started to change. Science fiction shows like Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Babylon 5, and Farscape all pushed boundaries with long-running story arcs, while crossover hits like Lost and Heroes embraced full serialization. But it was the prestige HBO dramas like The Sopranos and The Wire which turned heads, on the heels of which came the likes of Mad Men and Breaking Bad. This golden age of television reached its peak with the explosive success of Game of Thrones. Not only was it a fully serialized show with multiple long-running story arcs, but its production values comfortably rivaled the big screen. Now, everyone seems to accept this as the new normal. Shows that once delivered yearly seasons with substantial episode counts have sharply declined in frequency. At the turn of the millennium, a typical season of Star Trek was 24 episodes, and the show was expected to run for 7 seasons. Modern voyages to where no one has gone before average 10 to 12 episodes, and tap out after 5 years. Meanwhile, Doctor Who returned to screens in 2005 with solid yearly seasons of 13 episodes, plus a smattering of specials. By 2018, seasons had contracted to 10 episodes, and the latest slate of Who adventures tapped out after 2 short 8-episode seasons. These shows in particular are built on the premise of limitless otherworldly adventure, yet modern TV trends have savagely curtailed their scope. Instead, many shows, especially genre shows, brand themselves as 10-hour movies, as if they're embarrassed to be television. While there was plenty to criticize at the old model, today's TV landscape has abandoned the unsung strengths of those older shows, namely greater story variety, tighter budgets, and creative opportunities. Let's start with the storytelling. The contrived reset button was a common criticism of episodic TV. For the production to reuse cast, crew, and other resources, shows needed a steady status quo. Events which should have lingering effects on characters are neatly wrapped up after an hour's screen time. Star Trek Voyager was especially bad for this. Despite its premise of a resource-deprived ship lost in deep space, any battle damage or loss of equipment is brushed off at the start of the next episode. Modern shows definitely have more freedom to make bolder swings with their narratives. However, during the late 90s, many shows were having their cake and eating it too. They featured a healthy amount of standalone stories that upheld the status quo, while also unraveling long arcs that shook things up. Compare 1993's Babylon 5 to 2023's Silo. Both are science fiction shows set within the confines of an artificial world, and both shows have intricate mysteries at their heart, which are slowly unraveled over multiple seasons. But Babylon 5 had 22 episodes per season, while Silo only has 10. Babylon 5 usually had an A plot and a B plot in each episode, a tried and true structure. The A plot would be a self-contained story concerning characters or events within the station, while the B plot would subtly progress the larger arc which affected the wider universe. Silo has a compelling mystery at its heart, but that mystery progresses at a snail's pace. Frankly, not much happens for most of the runtime. Viewer interest is maintained through cliffhangers to hook you into the next episode, a cliffhanger which is usually resolved in a few minutes and then it's back to the slow burn. There's no reason Silo couldn't have been structured like Babylon 5. After all, the protagonist is a sheriff. Each episode could have been a case of the week, with the B-plot of each episode advancing the main story arc. One could even imagine a version of Stranger Things that hewed closer to Buffy the Vampire Slayer or Smallville. Instead of waiting multiple hours for anything of substance to happen in these shows, standalone episodes leave viewers satisfied with a complete story each week while intriguing us with hints of a larger arc. Standalone episodes also offer opportunities to break with formula and be experimental. Star Trek Strange New Worlds received criticism for its sillier episodes, where characters wind up in medieval fairy tales or Broadway musicals. Defenders then point to episodes like Cupid or A Fistful of Datas to prove that Star Trek has always taken chances to have fun like this. And they're not necessarily wrong. However, those earlier examples were in 20+ episode long seasons. If viewers were put off by these flights of fancy, they were satisfied by the near 24 more straight-laced Star Trek adventures they'd get that year. Strange New Worlds doesn't have that luxury. In addition to storytelling strengths, these older shows were terrific training grounds for new talent. With so many slots to fill, showrunners could take a chance on a new writer, and low budgets meant producers could afford to give an untested director a shot behind the camera. Ronald D. Moore famously got his start by submitting a spec script to Star Trek The Next Generation, putting him on a path to produce and write for multiple hit series. Steven Spielberg got his start in television, directing episodes for Night Gallery and Columbo among others, before launching his feature film career with Duel. Before he created Breaking Bad, Vince Gilligan cut his teeth on shows like The X-Files. Cut to today, where entire seasons are almost entirely written and produced by 2 or even 1 auteur showrunner. It's true that production values are higher these days, but those older shows look a lot better than you remember, especially thanks to recent Blu-ray releases, which revealed the strong aesthetic qualities these shows always had. Star Trek The Next Generation certainly looked a bit flat, but from DS9 onwards, the standing sets grew in detail, and the cinematography became more dynamic and interesting. Strong direction and bold lighting choices don't have to cost that much money. Sure, sometimes the reuse of sets was obvious and off-screen action helped save on the visual effects budget, but audiences could forgive these shortcomings in return for so much content. Longer seasons even make sense for the streaming era. In a climate where every platform strives for maximum retention time, the more episodes they can host, the more retention time they get, the better. This is backed up by viewing data. Some of the most popular titles on streaming have been older shows with longer seasons. Legal dramas like Suits, police procedurals like CSI, and sitcoms like The Office. Landing the next Game of Thrones may make for a hit over the next few years, but landing the next House MD or Parks and Recreation could make for a hit over the next 2 decades. Doesn't it make financial sense to invest less for more? Recently, the high-tension medical drama The Pit proved to the industry that audiences don't need billion-dollar budgets to get invested. Strong scripts and compelling characters do most of the heavy lifting. Instead of wading through 4 episodes to see if a show gets good, it would be nice to enjoy a solid hour of entertainment from the start. Rather than aspiring filmmakers hoping to somehow leap to the showrunner position, the industry should present them with a wealth of opportunities to get their foot in the door. Let the wannabe Game of Thrones be the wannabe Game of Thrones, but between the juggernauts, surely there's enough room for the humble television show to entertain for an evening. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Tim for editing this video. If you liked this video and want to see more, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on future uploads. On my Patreon, you can see videos early and ad-free. The link is in the description. Thank you to all of my patrons and members, with an ultra thanks to Tim Spot, Eamon Kelly, Michael Hardy, County Ark, Mike Halsey, Olivia Computer, Bano, Jaron Walker, Tom, Director Kate, Patrick Fleming, Matthew Camille, Lilac Yane, Ed Mark Star, Extreme Streamers, Howard Craig Kervik, and AS Caging 101. Thank you once again for watching, and until next time, have a good one.